Hello, my name is Laura, and I'm a librarian in the Information Technology Department at Mercer County Library System. Today we're going to be talking about the Weiss Financial Ratings Series database. This database does ratings for financial institutions, insurance companies, as well as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. So there's a lot of information there, either if you're an investor or if you're doing any kind of shopping for financial services. There's also a Medigap finder in there as well as the regular insurance ratings. So we're going to take a look at that and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of how to use the database for all of your financial needs. So in order to get to this database, you want to visit our website at www.mcl.org, and you want to look at the menu at the top and you'll see resources. Underneath the resources, you'll see a list for all databases. So you'll get to this page, which is our available online databases list. You can also get to this page by clicking on branches and looking for the virtual branch. Once you're on the virtual branch page, there will be a link there for all databases. You'll come here and you'll see that there's a alphabetical list of all of the databases we have available. There is a subject drop down. There's also a title search. So if you want to use those, you can find the investment listings, or you can go ahead and click on title search and type in financial series. The other thing is we're just going to scroll down and you'll see it is listed under the F's under the financial rating series. And here's a little blurb about what the database does. So when you click on it, you'll be taken right to this particular page, which is the financial ratings by Weiss and Gray House Publishing. What you can do is you'll see on the right, it's telling us we are a member of the Mercer County Library System. So you've gone straight into the database. You have no need to log in at all at this point in order to use this particular product. You can, however, sign in or sign up for an account. What this will allow you to do is if you'd like to create an online portfolio that you track over time, or if you've done any kind of research and you've saved information about certain banks or insurance policies that you may have researched, you'll be able to see those in there when you come in and log in. So right at the top is a search. If you know the name of the security you're looking for, or you have the symbol, you can go ahead and go right into it. And as you start typing, you'll see that different types of investments and other things that, such as institutions that match with the what you've typed in, will come up. So we have 4 stocks and 4 mutual funds and a bank that came up. You can also see a complete list where you will see this particular search popping up in multiple different areas within this database. Now, since it does go by the ticker symbol, you see this is the one I'm looking for, and you'll see other ones that have that particular letter combination in their ticker symbol. It'll also tell you what exchange it's traded on, and it will give you the rating. I'll show you in the help area how to get an idea of what these ratings mean and how they change. You'll also see up and down arrows. Up arrow means that the rating has changed recently and has gone up. Down arrow obviously means it's gone down. So you'll see they're alphabetically rated A through C. There's also the unrated listing as well. If you're logged in and you click on this little star icon, it will add it to your watch list, which is putting it into your portfolio to track. So if you're keeping tabs on a certain stock or a mutual fund, you can add them and you'll be able to just go into your account area and look at it again. So I'm just going to click on one of these so we see what a stock page looks like. And we'll see that most of the stuff that you see in the Weiss financial ratings, it's all going to be laid out the same way. So no matter what you're looking at, whether you're looking at a stock, a mutual fund, bank review, credit union information, insurance, it's all going to be the same. So this particular layout is mostly what you're going to see, where we're going to have a table of contents on the left, valuable current up-to-date information will be at the top. During the day, these numbers will change every so many minutes or so many seconds as trading takes place on the floors, and you'll see that those prices and volume and all that stuff will change. Then there's usually a summary on the right. This summary will be what is the lead on your table of contents on the left. As you click through the table of contents, you'll see the page changing. I'm not going to go into detail about the stocks right now because we're going to go back to the home page. Now that we've seen what one of the entries looks like, we'll talk about a little bit about what the main page is going to provide for you. So what we've got here, the search all will of course do the same thing as our box does at the top, and it will give you a search page where you would be able to search through all of these different things. There is a bank section, a credit union, insurance, the Medigap plans that I mentioned, stock area, the mutual funds, the exchange traded funds. There's also news articles in here. If you just want to jump in and read news without looking at a specific stock, you'll see the most recent financial news there. And then there's the Get Help section. This is the area I'm going to click on now. I mentioned in there that there was a section where you could look things up. This is an area where if you're stuck and you really want some help from a one-on-one advisor at the Weiss Financial Ratings database team, because you can't figure out what to do, they usually have an online messaging service. Of course, it's later in the day, so it's offline right now, but I just wanted to let you know that that was available to you if you get stuck. Okay. There's also a help section. Oops, moved the help section. Okay, so underneath the About area, we've got the tools for librarians and the rating guides in print. So as we're going through here, you'll see there's links within the articles for the help areas, and you can also go into some of these areas to find out the information about how to use this database. So for example, the What Our Ratings Mean. You're going to go in here and you're going to get a rundown of what each of the letter grades that they've assigned would mean. Also gives you a little bit of tips about what they look for in different areas. So of course, obviously, they're looking for something different in a stock than they would in rating a bank or a financial institution, for example. And again, it's going to tell you whether or not it has a plus or minus sign. So you'll get an idea of whether or not it's an A plus or a B minus, what that means. The Fs we saw none of in our previous search. Those are failed. They are obviously either bankrupt, out of business, or stocks that are just crumbling. And U is unrated. So basically you're looking at color coding as well as the letter grade. The two green, the A and B, are considered strong investments. The yellow, it tells you should hold them or avoid them. And then the red, the D's and the E's, are ones that you really want to get rid of according to their ratings. So it'll now give you a rundown about how they rate the stocks, the mutual funds, the institutions, and all that. So again, I'm going to go back. We got to this by clicking out underneath the About area. And like I said, it'll give you information about how they do the ratings, what the ratings mean, the track record, and any kind of reviews they've had in here, and all those other guides. They're all in here. And basically that's what you're going to turn to if you really get stuck and need some help. Okay, so taking a look, oh, I should mention the rest of this page before we go into the different areas. There usually is a little summary on the bottom here. So you're going to see whatever the top stock of the day is for them, top mutual fund. Any new ratings changes will show up down here, and here's a quick area to go into those articles I mentioned if you just want to look at the financial news. They also have a Twitter page, so if you want to follow them on Twitter, they are Fin Rating Series, and you'll see their tweets showing up here on the right. Also, it's going to give you, based on our geographic location, most recent rated banks that have high ratings. Okay, so talking about those banks, that's what we're going to start in first. And basically, you have a search area that you're going to look for here. Now, be aware you can type either the name, or if you want to look for just the highest rated banks, you can just pick a rating and hit search. The search box will change as you're going through adding these things. So if I wanted the A banks, you'll see my search results are populating on the right as I'm clicking those items off on the rating list. If I want to find something that is in New Jersey in terms of having a branch here, I can just use the drop down and pick New Jersey. And you'll see again my ratings updated. So now I've got 14 items available to look at. If you wanted it headquartered in New Jersey, you could further reduce that. And you see now I have 4 A-rated banks that are headquartered in New Jersey with actual branches in New Jersey. It'll tell you when the rating was last done. And again, you'll see those arrows indicating which direction they're going into. So we're going to take a look at this bank in Ewing, New Jersey. So again, like I said, the layout is the same. You've got your rating right at the top, as well as vital information. You'll see most of these reports can be downloaded. And on the left, you'll have your summary. And then the left will be your table of contents, and your right will be your data area. As you go through the table of contents from the summary down to a glossary here, you'll see that everything will change on the right-hand side. So for banks and the credit unions, we're not going to look at the credit unions because they work the same way as the banks. You're going to see basically everything about their holdings, what kind of capital they have on hand, how many deposits they have, what their income was over the last year. So that's just a brief financial summary. The other thing too is in our data area here, when we're looking at the summary, you'll see you're going to get boxes with ranges, and it's going to compare, in some cases, this bank versus the industry standard. So you're going to see these are rating, whether it's weak, excellent to weak in here. So that's what the different codes mean in terms of what you're looking at. So in this area, if this bank fell below 2, they would be considered weak. So all of these things are considered in the excellent range because the bars fall above that 7 point, which is considered excellent. So what you're going to be doing is the first one is you're going to be seeing your range and how it corresponds. So in this particular case, anything below 3 is considered weak, and then fair is between 3 and 5, and then good between 5 and 7. Above 7 is excellent. So then you can just go across the bar graph, and for all of these different aspects of the industry, you'll see how this bank compares to this standard range. Okay, the rest of the summary basically gives you an explanation of how they rated this particular bank and the basic info, how to contact them, what kind of assets they have on file, in their portfolios, and all kinds of other little brief, quick pieces of data. When you go into a deeper dive on this, you'll see the affiliation. If there are any corporate affiliates, subdivisions, all that kind of stuff would show up here. The history of the company and its ratings will show up here as well. Typically, institutions are rated yearly. When we get to the stocks, you'll see they get rated more frequently. So what we're looking at here is you're going to see the fourth quarter ratings since 2015, and you can see how it's gone between A minus, A minus. And over years, you can see the data points that were in the summary are laid out here for you so you can do a comparison from year to year. The comparison areas as well, you can compare this particular bank to other banks. So you can see what we've got here is this bank we've chosen is the first column. I can add up to 4 more banks. So if I wanted to add something in here, I can add them just by going in and starting to type in the name of the bank. So you can add up to 3. And now I've chosen 4 banks, the original that I had searched for, and 3 to compare it to. So you've got the ratings laid out, and you'll see that the differences in the ratings, or the items that were used to obtain those ratings, are highlighted in a bold text. So as you're looking at asset quality, you can see which is the top, and capitalization index and whatnot. As you're going through the data, you'll see these bold areas showing you which is the higher of all of them. So all those things we saw on the summary page, they're going to be laid out for you now in a comparison between 3 other banks. The next type of comparison is the industry. So you're going to be able to see This particular bank is the diamond, and the industry average is the yellow line. So again, you're going to look and you're going to see what is considered the low end and the high end, and you're going to see where this particular bank falls on that range and for what the industry average is for this particular data point. And again, it's the same data points that we saw in the summary and the comparison with other banks. And the last thing in the bank and credit union area is the glossary. So if you have run across a term that they've used in either the summary or the history area or any of those data points, you can take a look at it and say, okay, now I got a glossary definition, and you can have a better understanding of how they've used this particular data point in this rating. Okay, going back home, we'll see the other two things that are in here outside of, commodities trading is the insurance and the Medigap Plan area. So in the insurance area, it works again very much the same way as what we were just looking at with the banks and the credit unions. You can sort by name if you know exactly the insurance company you're looking for, or you can go by rating, or you can, in terms of the insurance, you can do the insurance type. So if you're looking for health insurance, property casualty, which includes auto insurance and life and annuity insurance, are in here as well. So I'm going to look at the property casualty, and you can pick, or you can actually, this one is not letting me do this. Okay, so if they're headquartered in a particular state, you can look for them that way. And you can see on this one, unlike the previous one, we can add multiple states as well. So maybe you want to choose New Jersey and Pennsylvania, you can do that. Clicking on any one of these clears them. The other thing too is the line of business and the state they're licensed in will become available once you've picked the headquarters state. So basically what I've done now is I've picked New Jersey and Pennsylvania insurance companies that deal in property and casualty and are licensed for New Jersey. So what we're going to look at here is if I click on one of these, out of the 142 results, again, we're looking at something that is very similar to what we've seen already. It's set up almost identically to the banks and the credit unions in terms of what's available in the table of contents. You're still seeing your rating at the top and your quick data points and the ability to drop down or to do a download report, and your ability to add this to your watch list if you'd like to. Again, the summary includes a range for this particular industry of what's excellent to weak, and you'll see as you're looking through the bar graph, where this particular company falls versus what's considered these different areas in the range. So whether it's excellent, again, this particular one over 7 is excellent in the ratings. So you'll see down here, and you'll also see these bars will change color to match. So if it's this slightly darker blue, it's going to be fair. And then we've got a good one here, and then everything else is excellent on this particular one. So now you're going to go through again the summary of how they got this rating, and then the basic data about this particular company. You'll also see the affiliates listed on this particular one, because with insurance there's usually a lot of cross affiliations, so you'll see those in there. And if you want to see the full list, you can click on the affiliates page and get the complete list of companies that are affiliated with this particular insurance company. And you can see we see some of those U's in there as well for unrated. Now again, the history page is going to give you the most recent ratings as they've been done. Some of these are again going to be mostly yearly, but you will see sometimes they'll do 2 ratings in a particular year. Maybe they rated them really early in the year and felt they needed to do one later, or they felt that it was incomplete, so they issue a new rating. So that's why you might see more than one. Again, this one follows pretty close to what we were seeing in the bank and credit union one, that you'll be getting a rating probably yearly, except for, like I said, if they feel they've made a mistake or they need to correct something that they may have missed data on, they'll put a new rating out. Again, the stocks and mutual funds that we're going to look at in a little while will have a quarterly rating, and then you'll see there will just be a yearly for the previous years. The comparison area works the same way. So if we want to start looking for different companies to compare to, you can go ahead and add them in there. Interesting. Okay, so basically, again, we're going to see the areas where you've got bold are where the differences lie. And then you'll have the basic company information. And with insurance companies, you're going to get a lot of balance sheets here. You're going to see what their assets are versus how much they paid out in claims. You also see how much capital they have on hand, surplus they have available, and the risk-adjusted capital is in there as well. So you're looking at how these two companies or three companies compare, and you're going to see, again, bold type to show where the differences are. And much like the banks and credit unions, the industry comparison works the same way, where we're going to see the diamond is this particular group, and you'll see the yellow bar is the industry standard. So this will let you know how they line up versus the industry. And again, there's a glossary. So if you're not sure what indemnity insurance is, or you see terrorism insurance and you want to look it up, you can go ahead and do that. All right, back to the main page. We're going to take a look at stocks and mutual funds. Again, the presentation is very similar, and we'll go back to the one we had looked at before, which is our local electric company here in New Jersey. And we're going to see there are some additional things in the table of contents to the left. And you'll see, again, we had looked at this earlier. You've got your rating. One thing the stocks and the mutual funds will have is they'll have that buy, hold, or sell in bold next to the rating. So you'll know what their advisement is in terms of what you should be doing with this particular stock. And again, you're going to see things like you'll see the previous close. So you'll see this is the drop today, and this is the price it ended at today. And you'll see the volume that's been traded. If it's a dividend yielding stock, it will tell you what the dividend has been to date. It'll also, or yearly dividend, I'm sorry. It'll also give you the 52-week high-low range, and you'll see the price earning ratio here as well. And again, you can download the report. The summary is going to give you, again, the rating for reward and risk, which factor into this rating. So in this one, you see a B and a D plus are balancing out to the C plus. You'll also see an outlook on it, any headlines that have to do with the company that's coming out of that news service we looked at earlier, and then you're going to see your P&L, your income, and your balance sheets and all that stuff. You're also going to see where the cash flow is going in terms of how much they're spending in total plant, operations, all that kind of stuff. You'll also get an update on when they did their last SEC filings. And you'll see here a nice graph showing you the price as it's going higher and lower and dipping and expanding. And then you'll get 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, and you'll see the 1 through 5 year average return on this investment. And then again, you'll see the 52-week high and low will not just be the range, it'll tell you exactly what date it was on. So the low on this one was in March, and the high was last October. So you'll see if you look at the price of $34.75 being the low, and you see it is trading at $50.71 less than a month later, you can see it rebounded fairly well. Then you'll see whether or not it is a large cap, small cap fund, and what the total volume and assets are. And then there's the dividend area here. So you can see the most recent dividend was 49 cents, and the dividend per share over the year was $1.90. And it'll give you a little bit of information about the industry, or how to contact the corporation and what industry it's in. On the profile page, you're going to get text, which is going to give an explanation of what exactly this company does and how to contact it and what its sector is. And in this particular case, we're looking at utilities. You also see employment information here as well. The key statistics, this is the comparison, basically, the in that you're going to see about, and it's going to give you the 2-year historical range here. So it's going to be the industry average, the stock market average, and then again, the diamond is the specific one you're looking at. So you're basically looking at those those data points we were looking at for in terms of the price history, and the values and all that kind of stuff are here listed, so you can see how it compares over a 2-year range. The other history we've got is the ratings history. So you can see this has bounced up and down, and you can see as it's been downgraded, upgraded, it'll explain whether or not this was a downgrade or an upgrade, and it will give you an information blurb about why that rating change took place. Next, we have the technical chart, which is basically how the price is going over the last range that you've designated. So you can do anything from a 1-month range, you can do the year to date, and then you can go up to a 5-year. You can also do the max, which will show you, in this particular case, data back to September of 2010. And you can see how the price has gone over that time period. The other thing you have available to you is the price history. The price history is usually helpful if you're doing any kind of income tax return and you may have sold a stock on a particular date, or perhaps you bought it on a particular date and you need to know what the price was at the close, because that would be the price you would use in terms of filing for capital gains or capital loss. So up on the top, you'll see you can get a full price history range, which we had seen in the previous technical chart area. You could repeat that here. You can also do a range if you'd like, and you'll see you also have the daily price, and you'll see there are 2,557. So as I'm clicking through, you'll see, I've got 2019 all the way back to April 29th of 2010. So this is giving you a day-by-day price of what this particular stock sold for on any given day. And you'll see the open, the high, and the low, and what it closed at in that particular day. So again, that's very helpful in terms of historic data, especially if you're doing any kind of research on the company in terms of whether or not it's been stable, but also if you have bought or sold the particular stock at any one point in time. The dividend history likewise goes through every quarter that it's paid a dividend and what that dividend payout was. You can do a comparison to similar stocks. This is where Weiss will just, you don't have to go in and search for them yourselves. Weiss will just give you a bunch of stocks that are in that particular industry and how those similar stocks compare to the one you're looking at right now. Now, there are 3 comparisons here. The comparison that we're used to seeing in the previous types of areas in this database, you'll see you can click to compare and just add in different commodities. So if you wanted to compare this to up to 3 others, you can do so. And again, it's those same data points that we've been looking at in all of the other history and statistical areas here. Next, you'll see the sector comparison. So this is for how this particular stock does against its similar companies. So this is a utility company, so you're seeing how it compares to the utilities market. So again, the diamond is the stock you're looking at, and the yellow slash is the industry average, or the sector average in this particular case. And again, it's the same data points we've been looking at. You can also do an industry comparison, and in this particular case, it's both going to be against the utilities industry versus the sector. Another area you might see is if we were looking at a car manufacturer, you might see the sector will be the automotive industry, but the industry itself may be retail sales, or another example would be retail sales and then department stores, or retail sales versus clothing stores. So the sector would be the clothing store or the retail, in the retail industry, or the department store inside the retail industry. So that's what usually would happen, but since we're looking at a utility and there's no sub areas within the utility for sector comparisons, you're seeing it repeated on both the sector area and the industry area. Now you're going to go back to those P&Ls, so you're going to see the income statements and the balance sheets. So you can look historically over the last 4 to 5 quarters to see how the particular financial stability of this company is. And the same with the balance sheet. You're going to see comparisons and the cash flow as well. So if you're curious to see, where they're spending their money, how they're making their money, that'll all come up. And lastly, we have the glossary. So again, you might see price earnings ratio and you might say, what the heck is that? You can go in here and say, well, here's the price earnings ratio. Okay, mutual funds are very similar. And I just clicked on the link in the menu bar at the top. I didn't go all the way back. What you can do with the mutual funds, though, is you can do a quick search or you can do a screener. The screener will allow you to pick funds that are involved in a certain area. Maybe they avoid a certain area. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. The quick search, basically, you can just type in the name of a particular fund or the ticker symbol and get the information. So a couple of other additional pieces of information here. You will have the recent changes in ratings, and you'll see also a 52-week high-low on different funds that are selected. Okay, so if we're going to build a screener, you can basically take any one of these types of areas and add it to your screen. So I clicked on the best buys. And now that I've got the best buys in here, I can say I want this range, which is selected. And you can change these data points as you want to. And see if the results change. Of course, we're not seeing results coming up, so I'm not sure why that is. That is weird. I'm not quite sure why the screener is not working. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the main area and we'll do a quick search. Actually, we'll just take this fund of the day and look at it. So again, we're seeing the same layout with the main part being all about the ratings, and you can download the report. Then you're going to see your table of contents, and again, your summary and your data points on the right will change as you go through the table of contents. So in terms of our mutual fund, there are a few different things that are added in here. You're going to see when it started as a fund. You're going to see the usual rate of return and the prices, but you'll also see how they've allocated the assets. One of the main differences, of course, between a stock and a mutual fund is the mutual fund is an investment vehicle that has holdings in multiple different types of assets. So you can see in this particular one, the amount of money in this fund is allocated this way, that there's 10% available in cash, and this is heavily invested in bonds. So we're looking at a bond fund. There's no stocks that are held here. So what I'm actually going to do is, before we get too deep into this, I'm going to do a quick search. What we'll do is we'll pick one that actually has a little bit more of a diversification in there so that it makes sense, but we're going to look at some of the other ratings or data points that are going to be offered in this particular overview. So as I scroll down, you'll see that there is a top holdings. So in our asset allocation, we do have stocks in here. We have very few bonds. And there's cash. So what you're going to be looking at is in the top holdings, you're going to see what particular stocks this particular fund has invested in. And if I want to click more, I'm going to get the complete list of what's held by this particular mutual fund. Going back, you'll see, again, similar funds. So this is like what we saw with the stock, where you saw similar ones that are in the same realm as this. They're investing in the same types of companies. They have the same amount of risk, and that's also addressed here um, in terms of whether this is eligible for retirement investment and all that kind of other stuff in terms of how you can purchase the particular mutual fund. If I go to the top holdings again, I'm going to see the full list again that we had seen when I clicked on the link in the previous box. Similar funds is going to give me an expanded amount of what's in there or what's available that are investing in similar areas. Price history, much like what we had for the stocks, you would get a price history normally in this box and see it by a daily history. So here's what you're going to be seeing in terms of your average return on value. And you're going to see there's a 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year return. So if you held this last year at this time, you know, if you've had this for 3 years, you would have gained 8.27%. If you've only had it for a year, you would have lost 2.61% on this particular mutual fund based on what it sold for on this particular date and what it would have been selling for a year ago or two years ago and 3 years ago. And again, we have the comparisons where you can add different mutual funds and compare the key factors as well. And in here, notice in the fund information, it's telling you it's a world large cap and it belongs in the global equity category. So it'll give you an information in general about what is being invested in this fund. And again, in the industry comparison, you're going to see the diamond is the one you're looking at, and you're going to see the industry average. Okay, the last thing to look at is the Medigap Plan. I skipped over it earlier because it's not really a rating so much as it's a tool that you can use. So this fits a little bit more in with some of the tools we have in the help section. And what you can do here is you can fill out some basic information. You can do your age as well as your gender and your zip code. And when you click on Get a Report, you're going to get, it says right here, an 80-page plus information buyer's guide and cost calculator. So if you need to shop for Medigap insurance or Medicare supplemental insurance, as it's also called, if you just give them these basic pieces of information, what they're going to do is come up with a customized ratings plan for you and email that to you. And you can then look through that and see what insurance companies are available that offer Medigap and how their prices compare to one another, what kind of policy it is, and that kind of information, and how they would suggest or how they would rate that particular company and why they rate it a certain way. So the other tools we have in the help section, you do have some tutorials, so if you have any difficulty using this database, you can always go in here and look at the very specific report. Obviously, this was an overview, and I did run into a few problems, such as the screener not working, so you do have a how to use the screener tutorial in here, so you could go through and follow along with one of these if you needed additional information. The other thing is up here is we do have the articles area. So I had mentioned earlier there's financial information here. So this is going to give you the most recent information or headlines in the financial world. And again, you have your tweets, top ratings changes, top articles. You can also do a search. So if you were looking for a specific company, or maybe you were looking for an industry, you wanted to see what the best stocks may be in terms of retail or clothing manufacturers or shoe manufacturers, whatever it is, you would be able to search the articles that way. And there's also these financial literacy tools. Right now, there's the free financial planning tools here. So we had seen we have Medigap Care. They also have a set of tools that you can use. This is a downloadable. This particular one is a downloadable ebook on navigating Medicare prescription drug coverage plans. Same with the long-term care insurance plan. So basically, you're going to come in here and you're going to be able to see a bunch of little shopping guides, if you will, that will help you navigate the areas where you might be looking for either a commodity, actually insurance basically. Sometimes they'll have something in here about how to select a bank. So if you come in here, you'll see different tools are available at different times. And again, basically you just click download and you'll get a quick little ebook that you can read about that particular topic. So those are available in here as well. Okay, so that is our Weiss Financial Ratings database, and we hope it's helpful to you in your search for commodities as well as financial institutions and Medigap and insurance. So, thank you.